Thank you. All right, Kay, can you?
Cecilia? David?
Here.
Ben?
Here.
Katie?
Present.
Marisol? Jocelyn? Here. And that's all our members. And our 3 staff members.
Thank you.
Ross, I should have called.
You can get Russ. All right, quick icebreaker. What's your favorite weirdest food combination? Should be pretty easy. And you still have to answer it back there, Megan. So don't think you're. Oh, okay.
That's not weird.
Pizza and ranch.
Yeah, no, that's totally gross.
That's not weird at all. That's fine.
Sorry, I'm just really average.
Then we'll go to you. We'll just go around the table.
Okay. So there are these awesome little, they're Parmesan crisps. Like you know what I'm talking about? They look like they're made out of just cheese shreds and ice cream. I like to eat those at the same time. Specifically Moose Tracks. So yeah, there you go. It's the first thing I can think of besides pizza and ranch, which is not weird.
I don't have anything to contribute to this conversation. I'm drawing a blank. I would like to pass.
I'm also going to pass. I can't think of anything.
These are hard, yeah. I don't have any weird
I thought
food.
this was an easy one.
Your mic
No.
is not the cord.
Is that okay? I haven't done it in a while, but cream cheese and pretzels. Have you guys ever done that?
Oh, yeah.
Dip the pretzels in the cream cheese? I don't know if that's weird, so okay.
I don't know if mine's really weird, but grilled cheese with yellow mustard.
Okay, good to say. We had a bar when I was growing up, and it was pickled pig's feet and hard-boiled eggs.
You win, you win.
That's really difficult to follow up. Gosh, I don't really know. Everything I can think of is pretty normal.
You'll get mocked for it.
I know. I know. Outside of Indiana, eating like cheese sauce with like breadsticks is very weird. And I love a good breadstick and cheese sauce. So I'm gonna claim that.
Okay. Caitlin, do you want to contribute?
Yeah, I would say like blueberries and peanut butter and cheese.
Oh,
Okay.
I don't know if this is weird, but I've been making sweet potato sundaes. This is just a public service announcement. It's really good. So you do like a baked sweet potato and then like a scoop of ice cream and then honey on it, and it is really good.
That sounds great.
All right, on the other end of the healthy spectrum, peanut butter and bacon.
Interesting.
So, no surprise, I was a pretty picky eater as a kid. I'll eat pretty much anything now, but I used to dip my chicken fingers in everything. So, like applesauce was probably my favorite. So, like chicken fingers and applesauce, or plain spaghetti with applesauce on top of that.
What on top?
It's applesauce.
Oh my.
I was obsessed with applesauce.
You're weird. Just kidding.
I learned to really appreciate pickled eggs and beets at Conner Prairie. I both learned how to make them and how to eat them. And then since the pandemic started, my husband and I have this tradition of making a pizza each Saturday, just a cheap frozen one, and we put stuff on it. And we've gotten to the point where we've added a new ingredient every month. We have one, so now we have 30 things on our pizza that we stick in the oven. It takes 30 minutes to bake it, and it's olives and pecans and feta cheese and all this stuff. So be warned if you come have pizza at my house.
Nice. Brad thinks I'm weird because I like anchovies on my pizza, but that's the weirdest thing that I eat. So.
I'm going to say, I don't think it's weird, but watermelon with salt. If you haven't done it, try it. It's amazing. It accentuates the flavor.
Salt
Thank
is
you all.
bad for you.
No, salt's good for you. It depends. All right, thank you all for sharing that. We've got the no public recognition today. We've got the consent agenda. We've got approval of the previous minutes and the fiscal report and the UDO Community Arts Subcommittee report.
David, before you move forward, can we add one item?
Yep.
Under planning and zoning? I'd like to add a maintenance condition survey.
So under E, 6E, we would add maintenance survey.
Yes, item 4.
Can we get a motion to approve the consent agenda with the added note there?
So moved.
Thank you. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Consent agenda passes. Into new business, we've got Ashley Elrod up with the Arts and Municipal Complex presentation. And she's going to the big podium.
I know, I kind of, it's a little awkward to be all the way over here, but, so I am going to do a situation. Is there anything special I need to do?
I don't know what you do. Picture should be fine. If Ross has it, release. Yep, yeah.
Okay, sorry, I forgot that there was a picture in here.
You want me to come back to you and
Yeah, sorry.
just do that? No problem. Stephanie, do you mind going?
Oh, sure. Okay. Staff report, is that what I'm doing?
Yes.
So we have a busy summer coming up. Our Shop Fishers Summer Series is returning July 16th through 23rd. That is our local business celebration. In the past, we've been really trying to grow the arts and culture businesses. We had some great Etsy participation or makers who participated in previous years. We had about 70 businesses last year. So we're expecting it to be big again. Applications open next week. Some more to come. I can report back on that at the next meeting. Yes, 16th through 23rd, Saturday to Saturday. Our holiday one is longer. That's the one that's about 5 weeks. We launched that This is Fishers committee last fall, which is our community engagement committee. And that is comprised of 3 subcommittees: the sesquicentennial planning, the cultural event subcommittee, and community ambassadors. So kind of updates on that. The cultural event group is kind of rolling on creating some, they were really focused on blog posts and storytelling. So really making sure that we're telling the stories of different cultural celebrations, religious holidays through This is Fishers. I think I shared some of what we had worked on around Black History Month. We had some great posts around holidays like Passover, Ramadan, Kwanzaa, things like that, as told through Fishers residents. But now moving into more of event planning, they're working on potentially a National Day of Prayer, which we've done in the past, a multi-faith prayer event for potentially later this summer. We've been talking, we met with parks, and I know the schools have been involved. We talked a lot about international fair and how we can incorporate that. So that group's gonna kind of look into doing something like that next year. And then Juneteenth, supporting the high school schools as they really kind of plan that, and then providing support. There's a working group involved, and I believe that is June 18th at the amphitheater. And then have to plug Hope for Happiness this weekend as part of the Farmers Market. That is the mental health event in honor of Mental Health Month that's put on from the high school clubs, the Brain Change to Mind Club. So I think that subcommittee is really making way more in the events now, which is exciting. The Community Ambassador Group also has some exciting things. That group's really dedicated to making residents feel engaged and connected. So they will be launching a tent at every Tuesday night concert in June that will be a meetup tent where anyone from the community is invited to come. Perhaps you don't have a buddy to go to the show with, or you're new in town and you want to meet some people, it's a place where anyone can come. There will be 2 community ambassadors who are there, welcome you, give you a blanket or a lawn chair, tell you more about Fishers, help you get connected, but it's just a very casual meetup spot. They're also getting ready to launch a new webpage that will have a kind of way to get to know residents, get connected, a new resident guide, things like that. So that's really exciting too, as we see our residents, kind of supporting connection here in Fishers. I think that's pretty much my big updates. Any questions?
I have 2 questions for you, Stephanie. With the cultural event committee, is anyone from 317 Dance involved on that committee?
No.
They might
No.
be interested if you have
Okay.
room.
Great.
And then similarly with the community ambassadors, is Sunita Mako on that group at all?
No. Yeah, if you want to send me the name. The This is Fishers committee is kind of, it's probably about 30 people, but we can always add new people. We kind of try to find a diverse group of residents, but if you have names or suggestions, we'd love that.
Awesome.
Any other questions for Stephanie? All right, thank you. Ashley?
Hold on, I have to push the button to see if I'm actually ready. Going. There we go. All right, sorry about that. So I just wanted to provide an update. I know I've provided some high-level updates to the commission at the last few meetings, but since the last meeting, we've been able to share our news with the community as part of our financial updates to the city council. And so from there, we've had some offline conversations with members of the arts community, but here formally at the commission, wanted to walk through where we're at and what we're looking for as we move forward with building the Fishers Arts and Municipal Complex. So I wanted to provide some context from where we began on this journey to create an art center. I'm not going to go date by date, but just as a reminder, the city is really galvanized around this conversation with not only the beginning of this commission, but then most recently with the community survey that was distributed to determine the community's needs and desires around a community and recreational center. From those results of that survey, it was very clear that the demand for arts and culture experiences and education and a home was very high for our community. And so while that led to an initial conversation of incorporating a place for arts in our community within a rec center, with the bad news of City Hall sinking, we realized that there was actually an opportunity right here in the Arts and Culture District. From there, we released the RFPQ that was provided to this commission that detailed what we were looking for in an art center, that was really derived from the results of both the master plan developed from this commission, as well as the results of the survey previously mentioned. From there, we worked alongside Commission President David Decker to sort of act as an advisor to the city through this process, and of course involving key stakeholders, Tom Rich, Les from the Fishers Arts Council, which were extremely helpful in the beginning, just to really center us around what did our community need, both in facilitating another survey just to artists in our community to see what they were looking for, as a balance to the resident survey we received. But then also, unbeknownst to me, Les's extensive experience in theater and performing arts, which we really valued. And so that helped build the vision of the Arts Center specifically. And from there, we began touring local stakeholders. So that included the Indianapolis Arts Center, but also, as you'll see later, the Phoenix Theater, Park Tutors Theater, other stakeholders in the community that hadn't been toured officially as the commission, because I know that there was a facility study done as part of the master plan. So we took that information in conjunction with some more regional venues. From there, Indianapolis Arts Center kind of helped us to better understand the operations needed for a fully programmed, dynamic arts center with exhibitions, with touring artists, with teaching artists, etc. And so as they helped advise alongside our consultant, which is Theater Projects, they were retained by our design team to help build the initial layout. Now you will see this is a very accelerated timeline. So between September and January, all of those preliminary discussions were had, and we received, the initial building design and layout in January. Between January and March, those design documents were complete. So from there, we really tried to use the existing information that this commission not only worked hard on, but also the community had dedicated time and energy to provide. Recently, the announcement with the full Arts and Municipal Complex and our intent to partner with the Indianapolis Arts Center for operations of the facility. That is in place as a professional services agreement. That is intended to provide day one full service to our community with the breadth and depth of knowledge that the Indianapolis Arts Center can provide, as well as an eventual cost share, or revenue share, I'm sorry, back to the city. So the city is not paying the Indianapolis Arts Center to operate. The Indianapolis Arts Center is using their own resources, their own funding to hire and operate the operations within this facility. Excuse me. And then revenue generated, which conservative estimates indicate that we'll have a revenue share amount of around $80,000 a year that will be dedicated right back into this commission's purview to disseminate into the arts community, reinvestment back into the Arts Center, whether that's through equipment, through grants and scholarships, or however this body sees fit, to create an ongoing and perpetual revenue for the support of Fisher's arts. I know there has been involvement from the Creative Council on feedback of the current and shared information. We are in the process of scheduling a follow-up meeting with the Creative Council, with members of the city project team, as well as with Mark Williams from the Indianapolis Arts Center to better answer questions that have been identified and answered, but have not been disseminated to individuals within the arts community per se. We are also planning, as part of our ongoing programming discussions with the Arts Center, to continue programming conversations with the Creative Council, with stakeholders, to determine what exactly that looks like. Now, this is a long-term conversation. This is a conversation that really begins now with the layout that we have, that we were able to afford and provide the utmost flexibility that we could identify for the next 18 months prior to us opening the Arts and Municipal Complex. We do anticipate finalizing an operating agreement with the Indianapolis Arts Center in the coming months. Those terms are still ongoing and are intended, and this is both a shared vision from both the Indianapolis Arts Center and Fishers, that it elevates the Fishers arts community and helps to broaden and elevate not only Fishers artists and arts education opportunities, but Fishers' place in the metro area's arts community. In June, the Creative Council will also visit the Arts Center in Broad Ripple to be able to understand the current programming, potential programming that they can provide in Fishers, as well as ways that artists can get involved in the future. Our outreach isn't only inclusive of the Creative Council. It goes beyond just the Creative Council, and ongoing conversations with the Fishers Arts Council occur on a very regular basis to determine what needs are desired from the community. So, for example, just direct feedback from the Arts Council. We've had, we know that there's a desire for retail space. We know that there is a desire both from the Arts Council and from myself personally and the mayor for continued art and city hall opportunities. And so those are all being determined and carved out as part of our ongoing design process. And so I did just want to also provide sort of our guiding components for this future arts center. And it's really around, further establishing the Fishers arts community, leveraging a physical space and a home for the Fishers arts community, and celebrating the impact that those organizations that have created arts in Fishers, celebrating them and giving them a space to call home and to showcase their arts, as well as expand the reach and educational opportunities for all Fishers residents, and certainly leverage Indianapolis Arts Center's longtime reputation, expertise, and their own partnerships to further expand the opportunities and reach here in Fishers. I'm not going to go through this, but this was direct feedback received from artists, from the Arts Council that we've integrated into our considerations with the Art Center's agreements and discussions. And this is preliminary placeholder programming. So none of these should surprise you. I think these are your basic elements of any arts center. But these will be the pillars from which we begin to engage the community to help provide feedback and build the Fisher-centric programming that we all hope that we have. So I wanted to end this just with our ask. So, we asked, to me, this is a very exciting opportunity for Fishers to truly have that arts home. This is Fishers' largest commitment and investment in arts and culture ever, and a point of pride for our community moving forward, both from a performing and visual arts standpoint. And so we look forward to engaging the commission, the Creative Council, of course, and the arts community and arts organizations in this next step of the process. So while we built the physical space with the feedback that has been established, that programming, the dynamic conversations that are required behind building that programming really will be the work of our community. I really encourage everybody to be involved in the Indianapolis Arts Center tours, provide questions, feedback. If you cannot attend the scheduled tour in June, Mark Williams and his team is extremely open to providing those opportunities one-off. I know Jocelyn had an opportunity to have that experience about a month ago, and really allows you to see what impact the Art Center has on not only the neighborhood that it surrounds, but at the community level and broader. And then, like I said earlier in the timeline, there's going to be ample opportunity for ongoing feedback on programming. Built into our proposed operating agreement with the Arts Center is a shared leadership spot, both on the Indianapolis Arts Center's leadership board structure, committee structure, but also vice versa. So having Indianapolis Arts Center leadership sitting within the commission, so there is a shared understanding of goals and priorities, but then also an annual and quarterly review of programming, special events, et cetera, to ensure that Fisher's priorities are represented. And then again, specific needs and asks, like my conversations with Laura around Fisher's Arts Council, those are really helpful in this development stage as we're wrapping up the design of the facility and moving into programming. What specific things does our community need outside of what has been shared? And so those are the questions that we'll be looking for over the next few months as we kick off this section of the project. I did include just some visuals. I don't know what everybody has been able to view to this point. I think this one is really hard to see, but this is the first floor, but close up. This is the theater. It is a studio theater, so it's scalable and flexible. It will seat around 250 with retractable seating, as well as adjustable seating that creates the angled floor without us building an angled floor. So we are still able to have a flat floor if we need to, but we will not lose the visibility and the benefit of an angled floor for seating. The intent is to be able to host not only our public meetings such as city council, et cetera, but to be able to provide theater space, practice space, as well as the ability to hold exhibitions, things like that. Here are a few examples of those possible layouts. So this is the exact reason why we chose not to go with a traditional proscenium theater model, which we were well on our way to do until we had a few key conversations within the community and realized that flexibility really was key, so that we could kind of open up that entrepreneurial viewpoint of performing arts and let the imaginations of our arts community come alive. And then the Arts Center portion, this is the component of the first floor that will be managed hopefully by the Indianapolis Arts Center. There was a focus on flexibility here as well. You have 2 flexible art classroom spaces with a shared storage on the north side. You have gallery space in the middle, and on the lower left that is can accommodate both private receptions or featured exhibits or public access exhibit space, along with lots of storage. We made sure there's lots of storage. And then the most popular, by and large, from even from the data that we were able to glean from the nearly 1,500 Fisher's residents that currently access the Indianapolis Art Center's programming, was pottery. And so we made sure that there was a dedicated space for pottery, ceramics, and And so that's what you see on that lower right-hand side. And this is just an exterior view. Any questions? I know I kind of flew through that. It is June 18th, I believe.
Is it the next council
Mhm.
meeting? Yeah, I'll. It should be Monday, so I think that's the 20th.
Yes.
It's possible I'm looking for on here in my calendar. But it, should be, I think it's the 20th. Give me a few minutes and I'll pull it.
And I will add to that, actually. So as part of our rollout a few weeks ago, we published a link for individuals in the community who are interested in learning more about either how to get involved with the arts community or learning more about this process. So we've had several individuals sign up for those alerts. They will also be invited to the Creative Council meeting at the IAC to further investigate, or so they can further investigate our relationship there.
Just confirming the date that is on this packet is the correct date, the 27th is what we've discussed.
What time?
4 p.m. is when the meetings usually happen. And I'll say that's not set in stone, so if we want to adjust, I think that's easy to do.
Do you have something?
Yeah, I was just going to ask. So you said with leadership, they would have a seat on the commission, right? Someone from the Arts Center, and then so that the chair would then sit on their committee. Okay.
Yes, that is what we've proposed at this point.
Okay.
Okay, first of all, like this is so exciting and the enthusiasm is big. And Ashley, I just want to say thank you for the outreach you have done. I think because there's a lot of enthusiasm, like you are never going to be able to communicate and receive feedback enough, right? There's just so much energy. So that's not a bad problem to have. So I'm really glad to hear like there's going to be some upcoming interactions with the Creative Council, and that's why we have that body set up, or that little gathering set up because of those voices there. So I'm excited to have that opportunity not only for the city to share information, but to, with big listening ears, accept feedback from these folks that are very enthusiastic and can't wait to get started. So with that being said, anyway, two things. One is I would like to make a recommendation that if there could be some sort of schedule that on a regular basis, I know we're talking years out right now, but on a regular basis that we could have a gathering, and I think the Creative Council is the right venue for that, where city representatives, Fishers Arts Council is always there, but also representative from, whether it be Mark or someone from his organization, frankly, everybody in the room together and set on a regular basis, I think would go a really long way. So I'd like to make that recommendation, and I don't know how to facilitate that, but I think that would be time well spent for everybody. So that's one thing. And then the second thing I wanted to ask, and I'm not sure who to direct this to, can we talk a little bit more about the different organizations and the roles? Like, my first thought was, as a member of this commission and an oversight in city investment in the arts, that the commission would have either a leadership role or an oversight role or a guidance role as we move forward. Is that what we're expecting moving forward? I'm just not quite clear about what how the commission can best serve the next steps of this process.
Sure. So as I stated earlier, the chair of the commission will, in an ongoing manner, be part of the leadership at the Indianapolis Arts Center. But as established back in September, the chair, David, has also represented the commission at every turn of this project to represent and pull in. And I know you and Marisol and other members of the commission have also been able to be, the commissioners have been able to be pulled in during key turning points in the project, and so I see that continuing in the future. And so, from a role standpoint, the city respecting the boundaries that we've established with both the Creative Council and the Commission in general, plans to continue to primarily work with the chair, David, and Creative Council as the city is allowed to participate in meetings to brief or utilize their expertise for feedback. Does that answer your question?
Well, like, will the commission be responsible for reviewing the Arts Center's agreement with the city? Like, how?
No, the commission will not be in charge of executing that agreement. The city will be responsible for executing that agreement. David will be intimately involved in the details of that agreement and ensuring that there is appropriate representation of the arts community, protection. We will be responsible for protection and support for the city, just as much as the Indianapolis Arts Center will protect their own set of.
And David, I know that you've shepherded this commission through the process very well already, so I know we're in good hands. We have talked, my final point is this. We have talked before that, like, the devil's in the details of this, and we want this to be successful for everyone. This partnership and the collaboration here is key. And Indianapolis Arts Center is new to our community and is not familiar yet with our arts community and infrastructure, right? Like how, partnerships have already been cultivated. And I want that to be really seamless in terms of like everybody working together. So I just want to be sure we're taking advantage of the systems and kind of infrastructure that we already have in place. I would say like as many people as can have eyes on some things, especially arts community representatives, it's going to be to everyone's benefit. So I just want to be clear, I'm not trying to choke the system here, but I think especially as we're off to the races, like that more avenues open, more opportunities for feedback, not just sharing information, but taking it in as well. It's going to serve all of us well. Do you have any feedback for me in terms of like my thought about like having regular touch point meetings with the whole group? Is that feasible?
Absolutely, and I think as I proposed earlier in my presentation, I would love for us to have the opportunity to attend future Creative Council meetings as city staff. I definitely want to respect the purpose and the tone of those meetings, and we don't have to be present for the whole time, but to be able to have access to the members of the Creative Council, I think through this process would be really beneficial to everybody. And so with those meetings set, that's the intent. In terms of, and I'm hoping I am interpreting your questions, or maybe I'm misinterpreting, but if the schedule and the outreach that I've outlined today does not meet the concerns that you've outlined today, the details of how we interact with the arts community, if that does not meet what your expectations are, I would welcome feedback on where you see those gaps.
Yeah, I do recommend accelerating at least the frequency of those touch points. And again, I would say it's important to have Indianapolis Arts Center part of those conversations. Creative Council is a great little group. I think they're very functional. And don't forget, part of that, part of Creative Council's mission, especially out of the gate, was to network our arts community and get those folks all working together very collaboratively and not only get to know each other, but work together. So the good news is they've developed that. So now we're ready to integrate Mark's group and also I think the city, maybe not in Creative Council, you know, I'm not sure if I'm asking for separate, you know, weekly meetings or anything, but I will say, especially in this moment, as things are moving forward, to make have more frequent touch points. And so anyway, I'm glad to hear that there are some scheduled already. I just would like, I'm just stating, like, making that a priority, and maybe it's just like once a month to be sure that folks who want to speak into this have the opportunity to be heard.
Yeah.
So.
And I just want to underscore that it is a priority. I hope that that was expressed today, that it is a priority, that the arts community has a say. So to directly answer that, I hope that that, and if that does not fulfill, you know, that desire or is not felt by the arts community, we certainly want to amend that. And to hear from the Creative Council standpoint, you know, I defer to Ailey as our liaison there to determine what that frequency looks like and what that forum looks like. But you know, from the very beginning, and with hosting the Creative Council at the next at Indianapolis Arts Center is very intentionally is happening very intentionally to support that. And I think, you know, after our briefing together as a Fishers Arts Council, as commission members, as Nickel Play Arts, when we brought kind of the secondary group together to brief on this project with the Arts Center, you know, that was a great forum to discuss concerns and questions and clarify details that can continue moving forward. And I think Mark jumped right on to the opportunities to connect with our arts groups. And I think 4 days later had lunch with Ailey. And so there is definitely a desire and a priority there. So hopefully you are seeing that and hearing that in response to your questions.
And you hear me saying, like, we cannot, there's so much excitement, we can't do it enough. So, right, like, I'm asking for an amplification of that, but there's no limit, right? So, again, that's a good problem to have. There's a lot of good enthusiasm, so thank you. Thanks for your efforts so far.
And meeting Monday, right? So that's coming to be scheduled, so,
Yes.
I mean, pretty quick.
Great.
And then to kind of touch on that, so the annual and quarterly review, will that be on the commission to do that?
Yes, yeah, that is presented to the commission with the chair, David, being the liaison to the Arts Center board.
Does that answer your question of what say we have? So she talked about there would be a quarterly and annual review of programming, and I'm sure other key performance indicators and things that we'll get to review and provide input in from the commission.
That sounds great, especially the financial component. We want to be sure, like, that is at the end of the day. I think there's a perception that there's some expectations here financially. You've set some already. And so to have those touch points even in the financial aspect, not just programming, I think is going to be very key.
Thank you.
Is that okay with them to share that, their financial?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Their books are open, and it has been incorporated into our operating agreement that will be shared. And I think that can be shared as part of a formal commission meeting as well.
Great. Thank you.
Yeah, I would say the more that they can come here and you all can keep us updated as things progress, the better. And at what point would they actually join the commission? I mean, before the building's built, or?
Likely, we're very close to finalizing an operator's agreement. And so Mark has a conflicting meeting tonight. Otherwise, he had planned on attending. He plans on attending next Monday's meeting with the Creative Council. And so, so it is his intent to begin coming here to start to meet people, network, and hear, what our goals are and what we're hoping to accomplish here in Fishers.
And do you anticipate that he'll be bringing a report to us for each meeting eventually once they get up and running? Would that be?
That's something that we can certainly establish. What sort of what is our dashboard that we would like to see, and so I could see that being membership, class offerings, revenue, of course, things like that we can certainly put together as a part of our report each meeting.
And have they determined any way to kind of work around financial barriers and just to provide access?
Yeah, so I didn't touch too much on this because Mark really owns this. So the already existing within the Indianapolis Arts Center's model is extensive outreach into schools, the community, et cetera, to provide access to arts either through scholarship, through grants, and providing low-cost access. And that may mean not having to sign up for an 8-week, $500 course. It could mean a $20 make and take that you spend an hour on a Saturday creating and taking home. So there's that level of access, but then there's also, coordinating alongside our Parks Department, which has already established a great model for access to parks programming through the free and reduced lunch program, so associating that with reduced tuition, reduced class admissions, et cetera. And so that's a passion project of Mark's and of the Indianapolis Arts Centers that we've talked about extensively for Fishers to be able to bring up here and provide the same service to our community.
Great, thank you.
Any other questions?
Yeah.
I just want to throw in 3 things very quickly. First of all, thank you, Ashley. I think this was a great overview. Does the presentation you shared, does it live somewhere? Because I would love to be able to. Okay, great. Because I would love to be able to just send it to folks when they have questions. Secondly, I think one of the first things I would be asked in response to what we've heard tonight is about your role there and how you're going to approach that process of representing the commission back with the city. That I know you could not, maybe you can answer it tonight, but I don't expect you to.
No.
Yeah. So that's just something to think about. And then the other thing is, I think the Indiana Arts Commission is going to be really interested in getting this, and they've been missing their staff member in charge of the cultural districts for a while. She just started last week, so I'll work with Ross to help facilitate that catch up.
Tom, if you have a quick question, I mean, it's part of the commission meeting, but.
I didn't hear that.
If you have a quick comment, go ahead. It's not really part of the meeting, but.
No, that's
Go
fine.
ahead.
I got a half a page here directed to the commission. Nobody has asked me a single question about any of the concerns I've had. Ashley does a great job, and I know she wants this to succeed. Everybody here wants it to, and it will succeed. Our concern, my concern, is simply that in January, some letter of intent was put out to Indianapolis Arts Commission, or Indianapolis Arts Center. We didn't know anything about that until April 12th. Okay, it would have been very simple just to give us information, and we'd have probably applauded it. But we weren't involved. We were involved very much in the beginning when you wanted our input so that we'd be on board, but then decisions were made that we probably would have agreed with. You don't need another meeting. Please don't have another meeting. Just give us information. Bring us along. What happens to Senior Showcase? What happens to Embracing Black Culture? What happens to March Awareness and the Joint Exhibit? Are they going to be in there or are they not? Those are simple questions that say yes, no, or to be decided. That's all. That's all we wanted. I had to go up to the mayor yesterday and ask him, I said, are you still talking to me? And he said, yes, you know, even though you're not right, go ahead. But that's all. That's all I wanted to say. You do a job, but just let us know what's going on. That's all. So,
Noted. Thank you. Anybody else?
Oh, I'm sorry, one last thing. I'm sorry, and I know you need to go.
No, you're fine. I mean, this is an important
Because
topic.
This is a big
Yeah.
thing, so I appreciate having a bit of time. So quickly, and Ashley, I'll make a suggestion, especially if this presentation is going to go out to the Creative Council. There was a slide, you don't have to pull it up again, that had 4 buttons on it, and one of them said, like, leverage the Indianapolis Arts Center for the benefit of the arts community. I'm gonna make the recommendation to just flip that. And I think actually that nuance could be part of the concern that the arts community has. If this could be stated, as long as it's true, to maximize or enhance the Fishers arts community by using the expertise of the Indianapolis Arts Center. Just that switcheroo really, I think, would go a long way. And I know that's just moving words around, but if that is true, the flip, if that is true, I think that would help. Would you agree with that? That's all.
I would. I think that I am totally just interpreting what I heard at the meeting, but I do think some of the Creative Council members do have, justified or not, this worry that the city doesn't think they're good enough, and so that wording would go a long way to show it does exist here. We are celebrating what is here. We're not trying to replace it with a place that is bigger and cooler than what we already have. We're supplementing it with a place that has expertise that we need. I do think that is a key nuance that will help.
So that I'm clear on what you're sharing, the statement of leveraging the Art Center to then elevate the Fishers arts community is not an accurate statement, but you're asking that the leveraging the Fishers arts community to elevate the Indianapolis Arts Center, because the statement that I wrote is leverage the Indianapolis Arts Center's longtime history, leadership, and expertise to elevate the Fishers arts community.
Yeah, just simply elevating the Fishers arts community by leveraging the expertise of the Indianapolis Arts Center.
Great.
I know that's a small
Yeah.
little nuance, but we have to address some of these concerns that are out there, and that small little thing I think would go on that. Just a suggestion.
Big thank you to Ashley. She's worked tons of hours on this on a tight timeline. Probably pulled her hair out a couple times. So really appreciate you working through this, because this is a super exciting opportunity. And I can assure everybody that every conversation I've been in since the beginning between the City of Fishers and Indianapolis Arts Center has been about collaboration with local Fishers artists and creatives to make it authentic to Fishers and make it about Fishers. It's been nothing more than that. And so I'm super excited about it. I think it's gonna be great for the community, and I think it's just gonna take a little bit of time and a little bit of outreach to share it with the community, to give all of our artists and creatives opportunities to hear what it's about and answer questions. And I think we'll be well on our way. So Thank you for all your efforts. Moving on, Marissa, you are up.
Hello. I'm not going to take a ton of time, but we are starting our season, really. We started last Saturday with the first farmers market. Really excited. We have 65 vendors. We have a lot of new different cultural food options, which I'm really excited about this year. We had about 4,000 people there in attendance for the first market. It was chilly, but it was great. So that will...
Chilly.
4,000.
Okay.
Yep. And that will continue for the next 22 weeks. And then we have taken on the Saxony Farmers Market as well. So that will start, I believe it's June 1st. It's the first Wednesday evening in June. So the Parks Department will be running that through September, and a little bit smaller, but we're hoping to bring in the fun and culture that we have going on here to that market. And then we have our concerts that are starting in June. We have our Tuesday concert series. We have 5 ticketed shows, which we have announced that are coming up. The first one is on June 18th. And the Nickel Plate Trail is opening. So we have ribbon cutting on Friday. I know some of you will be there on Friday. We're really excited, though it's been open for the last couple of weeks and people have been utilizing it. This is kind of like our kickoff to it's officially open, and we have some more. We have seating options. We have the swings that are going in. I don't think they're in yet, but the swings are going in at the old train station. And then Saturday, it is an open event to the community from 12 to 4. We'll have more family-focused activities. We will have live art demonstrations. We will have music, food. And then from 7 to 10 in the evening, we have a more adult-focused. Kids are still welcome, but they won't be turned away. But it will be an adult-focused night of some of the same activities. On Saturday, the daytime activity we will have a number of activities at Maker Playground and our Fishers Parks headquarters at Hub and Spoke. And then there will be activations, obviously downtown here, so the library and Fishers Arts Council. And several other artists and entertainers will be part of that. But the daytime one will have 2 kind of nodes, if you will. So if that is not on your calendar, make sure it is on your calendar and come visit us. We're really excited, and I'm excited to see in what way this commission can help activate that trail. It's a cool amenity. And I'm just going to leave it there.
So it's official that funding was released, right, to finish the trail?
I didn't hear what you said, sorry.
It was official. It's official that funding's available to finish the trail now, right?
Oh, yes, yeah.
Can you give a quick overview of that? Do you know enough about it?
I don't think I know enough about it. I actually heard about it from Joe Hogsett. So before I heard about it in our community here, we were at a Parks Luncheon, and he announced it. So all I know is that it has been funded. It is true. It was announced publicly, and it will be funded. But I don't have any more to speak to, honestly.
I can comment on that a little bit. So the funding provides enough funding to complete south of 106 through to 96, as well as a bridge across 96th Street. Oh, I should have let you do this. This is your baby. As well as funding to fund the bridge across 96th Street and into Indianapolis. So it's a really exciting thing that we've been waiting a long time to receive. And hopefully Noblesville also received their grant funding. And so this will really solidify the Nickel Plate Trail as truly, across community and eventually this 50-mile loop around Indianapolis that meets up with the Monon. So really exciting time.
Did Indy get funded too?
It did.
Yeah. So they're going to finish the trail from Noblesville to the fairgrounds?
So it'll go from south of 106th Street down to 32nd Street, I think?
42nd Street.
42nd Street. And then up into Noblesville. They're still determining design and things like that in Noblesville as far as I'm
And
aware.
it'll connect in Noblesville to the Midland Trace Trail, if you all familiar with that, and it'll connect over to the Monon, creating a 41-mile loop around all of our communities.
Awesome. Exciting. Any questions for Marissa?
Marissa, just a note that I'm sure the creative council members would love to help think about how to activate the trail, and especially if, as you guys are developing your strategy for the use of the trail, pointing to places where things, pop-up things could happen, I think would be super helpful.
Yeah, and down at if you guys haven't walked it, the monumental stairs that are by First Internet Bank, just south of 116th Street, perfect opportunity down at the bottom. And I know we probably have talked about it before, but for entertainment, that is our plan, to have live entertainment that you stumble upon along the trail. So, but there's lots of other opportunities as well.
Thank you. Ailey, can you give us an update on the Creative Council?
Sure. So you guys have the full notes from the last meeting in front of you. And we do want to acknowledge there was some contention, there was some back and forth. I think the most important things to really remember from that are that so many of these folks are entrepreneurs whose livelihood is connected to the operation of arts in Fishers, and so it's very, very easy for them to immediately jump to the sky is falling, I've been left out, you don't understand my business, all that kind of stuff. So that's why it is so important to go through this process. But I will say, even for that fear, there was so much positivity at that, so much excitement for this new amenity. And I think they're just really eager to get started, as Jocelyn was saying. They like, to the point, they're so excited about this, they don't even want to celebrate. They just want to, how's it going to work? Show me how I can do it. I will say, too, that the meeting also ended with what we've been hoping would evolve. One of the things that's been a big challenge for the Creative Council is they haven't been able to meet in person, right? So this was one that did happen in person. And the end of the meeting was really focused on, okay, here's what's coming up, who's got an event that needs something, how can we help each other, and a lot of side conversations happen from that. So that's the kind of thing we want to feed more of. And the more direction that I can get from the commission about, okay, here's a place where we specifically want to plug them in, or here's the specific kind of feedback we're looking for, this group is going to respond to that more and more, I think, as we go forward. And we are working on doing a second meeting on Monday to catch folks up who weren't able to be at the previous one, really go through the details of this presentation. So I'm trying to think. There are also, just a reminder, we're trying to populate that Google Calendar with everybody's events as they go in. So I'm trying to take time at each of the meetings to look at that and make sure it's populated so that we can look at it next year and keep building it and know what's coming up. I kind of feel like the year has gone from planning to, oh yeah, that's already, like, we're already beyond that. So there were some things that hadn't gotten on the calendar that are now, huge touch point events and everything. But it's a good process to get everybody looking at each other's calendars, I think. So, any questions?
Thank you for that. Do you feel like the plan that's presented today from Ashley and City is adequate to get us back on track and where we need to be?
I think it'll go a long way. Yeah, I want to process a little bit from today, but I think there's just some relationship building that, no matter how good any of us, how well we approach this, there's a long history that we're always reigniting, and it can be the simplest little use, one little phrase can touch it off. And so any additional opportunities we have to work alongside those individuals and show we really do understand your business model, we really do understand what you're trying to accomplish, that's going to really help. And so I am excited about meeting at the Art Center, having Mark and his team also come and participate in these events, so that I think I do want to note that there's a little bit of an air of surprise from Mark about how much we have, and that's one of those things that is hard to hear from these groups, and so we really want to bring him up to speed fast and bring his team up to speed on just what's going on here and how advanced it is. But, you know, I think it is very clear that the city is making an effort to reach back out, and that is always going to have a positive impact.
Perfect. Do you like the idea of the city coming to the creative councils to use that as a forum to share more? And
I mean, everybody's always invited, and we want everybody there. But it does make me remember a year and a half ago or whatever, where we had several staff members at those meetings, and there was a complaint that they were repetitive, that it wasn't a good use of people's time. So I just want to have realistic expectations about, I mean, those meetings, they are not going to be municipal agendas, you know? There's gonna be a lot of tomfoolery. And maybe it is that staff come and go, but we don't want that to feel like, okay, now that the staff are gone, now we can really do something. You know, we don't want that segregated feel to it, if that makes sense. But I think if we're just all open to continuing to evolve the process, I think the more people in attendance is always a good thing.
Yeah, and I think that would help the Creative Council. If people are truly interested in being involved in it, and that's a regularly occurring activity during that meeting, it seems like that would help grow the engagement and attendance that you're seeing.
Right, and that's, you know, Stephanie, for your benefit, that's why I brought up those names for the committees, because there are a couple of people who are so interested in what's going on those. So having a staff member there who can speak to those and connect them directly at the meeting would be great.
Thank you. Ross, you've got a few different things for us, starting with the Techway Trailhead, I believe.
Definitely. Can we switch over to the click share again? Perfect. Before that, I wanted to show you guys the fiscal report just as an update on the grants. The 2022 grant cycle, all 10 grants were funded to the different artists or creative companies in early April. So I just wanted to show you that. Your current balance is $3,100 out of your regular annual expense. I'll get back to that later on the item that I added. With the Techway Trailhead RFQ update, so that did close last Friday. We had over 20 submissions, which was really exciting. I do want to personally apologize to Tom. It sounded like an artist from out of state contacted him 7+ times to try to get information. Very bizarre. We haven't changed our format. Same email, same phone. It all goes to me. So it may be because you guys shared too much, but thank you and apologize for that. We did get them all. Again, like I said, we had over 20 submissions for that. So really exciting for that particular project. As always, the commissioners will be invited as part of our review process. We will review likely the last week or so of May, with the hoping to announce that artist in June. As the Techway Trailhead location comes through, we'll likely see that art piece installed early next year. So that is my update on the Techway Trailhead. Do I have any questions? All right, I'll go to the next item, which is also, again, not a voting item, but just an item of information. It is part of our 2040 comp plan update. So in 2021, the planning staff successfully completed our first 5-year update of the 2016 adoption. Some feedback from that was the update was to provide City Council with an annual update. So that is something that we are starting this year. So this chapter documents, the implementation chapter of the comprehensive plan documents all the city's action items that we have, and also includes status of where those action items are. With that, any group that kind of falls under the city's umbrella, staff would like to bring them into the fold of that comp plan with any goals or action items that those committees or commissions, such as you guys, have. You guys have your big, hairy, audacious goals as well as your SMART goals. I will double check, but I don't believe there was any language change at all from what you guys had previously looked at. This is really just an opportunity to bring this into this annual update that we'd be presenting to City Council. Commissioner Coble and Commissioner Vare would see this likely in July and August of every year. It also gives staff an opportunity to work with the commission early in the year to see what any updates or changes, and then we'd bring this in. This is something that council would approve every year, So this would kind of codify these action items and really help, I believe, both the commission or committees and staff kind of keep us all moving in the same direction. Is there any questions on this? This is, again, a draft of what this section would look like. It'd be potentially 3 to 4 pages. Again, really just kind of overviewing what the commission is, what your vision and core values are, not new information, and then what those action items are and what the status of those items are.
Does this, I'm just thinking about efficiency for you. Does this overlap with the report we give to the Indiana Arts Commission at all? Is there a way to combine those two processes?
I think so. I think we could pull information from this annually. I think we're on a bit of a different timetable because we'll be presenting this mid-year every year to council, but I would definitely be able to go back to that previous one to provide to the Indianapolis Art Commission. Are there any questions about this?
I have a quick question.
Yeah.
So are the words big, hairy, and audacious going to get into the comp plan? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm cool with that.
Yeah, it's something that you will have to personally approve that. But yes, they do have big, hairy, audacious goals with the subheading that says long-term big picture goals, just to clarify. Are there any questions on that? All right, I will go to the next one, which is really fun. Let me go to this full screen. As Marissa talked today about the Nickel Plate Trail official opening, you guys have kind of geared staff to look towards the trail in itself as art opportunities. And we've identified 3 that we think would be really beneficial, not only to starting to create this character that you see in this picture right here. This is part of that 2040 Nickel Plate Trail Master Plan. Exactly right there, you see a little stage. That's where Marissa was talking about kind of those pop-up events. Very soon we'll see this picture come to reality, which is really exciting. But with that, I've gotten permission from our engineering department to start adding some murals to the tunnel and the trail itself. So there's 3 that I'd like to present tonight for you. Again, these will take a while, so likely the request tonight would be, if you guys approve, up to 3 of these murals. We would put out an RFQ like we typically do, and we'd likely see these installed probably mid-year of next year. Working with a couple different artists, they provided some timelines already, and they say, hey, like, you're really great artists that you're going to look for. You know, they're booked out for the rest of this year, so we won't see immediately, but we'll definitely see it for next year.
Is there an opportunity to engage the community, like within the RFQ, so that they can help make the murals? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there might be a particular location, and I can let Ashley talk for a second. One of the grants that you guys approved, JP Parsi, I believe, is the artist's name, Jeanette. She'll be doing a community art project at Conner Prairie, and that is community-based fully. Mm-hmm. And our intention as part of, I don't know if I can announce this, as part of the 150th anniversary, we plan to have those artwork that's created to be installed as banners on the edge garage. That's one particular piece. Mm-hmm. Ashley, I'm not sure there's any other locations. There's a lot of walls here. So I think we can find a location for a potential community art project. I'll show you these 3, and if you think one of these are appropriate, we can take a look at it again.
Yeah, I was actually thinking about baking it into the RFQs that, so an artist would submit a proposal, they would design it, and then people would actually help them paint their vision, like their design.
Okay.
So it's just a suggestion. It's just a way to get people excited about it if they can participate. So
yeah, we can
not a requirement.
Yeah, we can see if that's something an artist would do. I know Fisher's Art Council. I'm not sure what your success right now is with.
Okay. Okay.
So get some enthusiastic people, but they're skill set and just not enough for this. Great idea of it,
In practice, not so good, yeah. Okay.
We can use the Fisher's art wall at Brooks School Park for something like that.
There we go.
I was going to suggest too, as someone who works in the schools, I would love to see us find some space. It wouldn't necessarily have to be this, but find some space to maybe hand over to the high schools, one for each that they could use to create whatever those teachers and those students would see fit. I think that would be a great opportunity for them to leave a legacy, both high schools, HSC and Fisher's. So I just want to put that out there too.
Yeah. Did you have something else? Or?
I was just going to add that I think looking for an artist to facilitate that greatly reduces the number of artists who are going to participate. But I have seen it successful at some points. Big Cars, just remember there's the big mural on the back of the amphitheater.
Mm-hmm.
Big Car did that collaboratively, but it was they were like a hawk on it and making it work. I also think there are ways we can inspire artists through images presented by both community members and even school students too. Not that the school students don't have the skill to do it; they certainly do. But this is a random example. Stick with me for a second. Noblesville is very excited about the Great Squirrel Stampede, as is much of Fisher's. There's an elementary school teacher who did a lesson with her students to make their own squirrel murals. And they're hilarious. Any artist who flipped through those would come up with brilliant material, right? So I think there are other ways we could look at that collaborative process to really make sure the community is involved.
So if you haven't been to the tunnel, I'll go through these real quick to kind of show you these. And these, we have 3 that we're presenting tonight, each with a budget that is between $30 and $35 a square foot. Based on consultant information sitting next to me. But this is the pedestrian tunnel on the west side. So we have, it's a lot easier when you guys go down there, but we have 2 plazas right now. We have the Switch Plaza, and then we have what will be called it's a little slow, the Legacy Plaza area. This is one side that as part of the design process, it did have to be primed and ready to go. This is an area that will be lit. It's not showing right now, but I believe 24/7, or at the very least, we'll always have light in the evening. This mural location would cost about $6,500 based on that information. It's 194 square foot. Across from that, when this loads, you'll have an identical wall, also 194 square foot, so also $6,500 as part of that budget. I think something that could be creative is offering kind of an option as in like A and B, so an artist could do both, or we could also separate it as A or B. So I think there's an opportunity to have lots of different options as up to 3 different artists or creative companies.
What about C, the ceiling?
I have a square footage amount for the ceiling, so if that's something that we'd want to look at, we can, include that in here. I was given that square footage number, so it sounded like I had the ability to paint it if so desired. But that would be very interesting with all the way across. And lastly, see if I can get this to come back. As part of that pedestrian tunnel area, there is a staircase, not the monumental stairs that Marissa talked about earlier, but this connects right up. You can see just the top of the old train station area, which is going to have those swings. This is a pretty interesting wall that has about 390 square foot, so around 13,000 would be the budget for this one. So all in with those 2, pending square footage for that ceiling, if that's something we wanted to do. The 3 would be at $26,000 all in total. So with that, I'll go back to your financial report. Currently, as of now, you have around $209,000 left over in your town hall building corp funds. This would bring it down to $183,000 remaining if you were to approve those 3 tonight. happy to answer any questions, and I can try to real quick get that square footage number for the ceiling. Excuse me? So we're asking tonight for the commission to fund the 3. So they're not posted yet. They would be posted likely, yeah, you're fine, late May or early June. And then we'd run our typical, open for 60-day request, go through our review process, and then pending recommendations from some of the artists that I work with would install spring, summer of next year.
Comments, thoughts? Like it, don't like it?
Let's do it.
Everybody likes it?
Okay.
All right, does somebody want to make a motion?
I will move that we approve to fund these wonderful installations that are coming.
And that was, do we need specifics of cost or anything? What did you say it was?
So the 3 as presented tonight is 26,000 altogether.
Yes. So I would move that we fund the 26,000 for these projects.
Any discussion?
Can I have one bit of discussion?
Yep.
Since we threw out multiple ideas for Ross tonight, we might want to suggest to work with the high school teachers to get them to put in a proposal for one of these. And since I want to do it in a way where it's not the commission helping them get a application in, but I think probably as a non-voting member, that's a discussion I could have. And certainly our representatives from the Fishers Arts Council are here to share that as well.
Thank you.
Perfect. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion passes. Got some murals coming. Ross, I think you had also section E too.
Yeah, I added an item. Wanted to present something real quick, and I'll definitely hand it over to Katie, kind of add some more context. This is something that you guys have asked staff in the past to look at, and this is the opportunity to have the public art that we have throughout the community assessed and really kind of give us a maintenance schedule. Katie has made a suggestion to utilize a local award-winning indie-based artist, Brose Partington, thank you. This is someone who himself is a sculptor, also has a background at the Heron School of Art and Design. He's come back with a very low quote of $1,500 to do that assessment. As I presented earlier, you guys have around $3,100 left in your annual budget. So really just asking for the commission to authorize staff to offer him a professional service agreement for that amount. And that's something that we would likely do the next couple months and then provide that information back to you. This maintenance plan would really help guide both staff, the commission, and I believe DPW and Parks as well on how we move forward with that. Katie, I don't know if you want to add anything else or your recommendation on how often we would have this maintenance.
So typically
Updated.
you would want to do an assessment on an annual basis. So what Brose would do is he would come in and do basically a condition report for every object or work of art, and then give you a sense of any maintenance that's needed, and then, ideally queue up, in 5 years we're going to have to do this, or annually we'll have to do this. If things need to be, repainted, resealed, just depending on what it is. Some things won't have to be touched for 25 years. It just depends.
So staff was asking you guys to authorize $1,500 for this maintenance.
I'll make a motion to do so.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion passes. Can we add that to our annual budget as well? And just count for it. That seems like a steal to me. I mean, for the amount of work that's.
Once he does it, he may raise his rates.
5-year contract.
Get him to sign up for you, yeah.
Katie, that's a great idea.
Oh, sure.
That's all for me.
All good, thank you, Russ. All right, community comments. Laura?
Okay, everybody just get your pencil out. I want you to write down June 11th, Autumn Prairie, 10-4. I want everybody there, okay, this really is critical that we get bodies at this event, and we know that is everybody's big struggle. So anybody that you can get, you can drag, point to it, please, please, please do it. It's gonna be wonderful. We have great artists, we have great bands. It'll be really fun. For some, we get discount tickets. I'm clear, I can't remember. It's so confusing. You have to go online.
Yes.
You have to go online, maybe you can do it through our site.
Now I think it's kind of very.
Go through Conner Prairie, buy your tickets in advance, you get a discounted price, which is really lovely. We're also moving, big news, we're moving to the hub at the Hamilton County Community Foundation, and our first reception is on the 10th. So we're having those two back-to-back things, but, so we love them crazy. And I'm hoping people can find it, it's behind Target. And so I'm really unclear if we can get like 5 people there, but I'm excited to get them. But anyway, again, everybody, June 11th, 10-4, Autumn Prairie. So that's my mission.
Thank you. Ely?
A couple of really cool things from Nickel Plate too. So the Indiana Arts Commission is conducting their annual on-ramp entrepreneurial accelerator here in Hamilton County this week. They are starting tonight. They're actually having ice cream at Alexander's in Noblesville without me right now, you guys. But they will be in town all week. They're staying out at Hamilton Town Center and then meeting in Noblesville. We're providing them information about Fisher's experiences to add, and they're having breakfast from Another Broken Egg tomorrow. So, but that is a really cool thing for Hamilton County to be able to point to these artists in their first 3 years in their current entrepreneurial role, getting this world-class training from the Arts Commission. And as I said, the Arts Commission's new staff, they have several new staff members, and I think we'll start to see more engagement for cultural district stuff, and hopefully maybe we could coordinate some trips to the new cultural districts that were just added, Fort Wayne and Wabash. I would love to help coordinate those. If anybody wants to go, just take a peek at those. I think we'll have a little more support to make the connections from the IAC now. There are 2 new exhibits that Nickel Plate is coordinating in Fishers. One is at Fort A. Ray, and that's Shelley Feeney, local teacher extraordinaire. And her reception is on May 23rd. I'll give you the exact time here in just a second. But she's got some wonderful artwork, and it would be just great if we could go and support her. Her reception is from 4:30 to 7:30 on the 23rd. And then you can drink beer, and that's always fun. And then Craig Mullins and Cheryl Haynes are at Meyer Najum right now. They also have a wonderful exhibit, and during their reception last week, they sold over $6,000 worth of art in like 3 hours, which is huge for this community. So really, really cool proof of concept in the Fishers Arts community. And then I also wanted to make you guys aware, and especially you, Marissa, the folks, Pine Tree Properties, who now owns the yard, is looking to move forward with weekly acoustic concerts on Thursday nights. Yes, they were very apologetic about choices that were made last year, which I thought was funny. They've tried to pay attention to what else is going on in the community. It's just Thursday is apparently what works best for the merchants out there. So, yep, that's it.
Thank you. Do you have an announcement for the Creative Council?
I don't think Caitlin's here, but I don't know if she has anything to share.
What's that?
I was just pointing out that Caitlin is here from the Creative Council, but I don't think there's anything else.
Oh, just the announcement that the next meeting is June 27th at 4. Sorry.
I'm very sleep deprived this week. So yeah, the 27th of June, we'll make that a big fun thing, and all of you are always welcome. So.
Perfect. Thank you. All right. We finished exactly on time. That's pretty amazing. So thank you all for that. Appreciate everybody's feedback. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All right. Second?
Second?
All in favor?
Somebody say.
Aye. All in favor? Aye. Meeting adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.
It's like someone.